Welcome to the Membership Guys podcast. Kick-ass advice and tips for membership site owners.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 249 of the Membership Guys podcast. I'm your host Mike Morrison, one half of the Membership Guys, and this is the place to be if you are looking for proven practical advice on growing a successful online membership business. Today's episode is aimed a little more at people who haven't yet started that journey. They haven't yet began the process of building a membership site or taken that first step towards becoming an online membership owner. However, it's still going to be useful for people who have been doing this for years because it's going to give you some reminders of some key principles and key things to keep in mind when you're running your membership business. So today I want to talk about 8 things that you need to know before you start a membership website. And this is really all about injecting a dose of reality into things, because there are plenty of people out there who are all too willing to sell the fantasy or to only focus on the good side of running a membership. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of good side, but if you're dreaming about kicking back on a beach, sipping cocktails, as all of this money just magically appears in your bank account, then this is really something you need to hear. This episode is going to burst that bubble for you. Sorry, but I'd much rather you guys be prepared and have a realistic idea about some of the things you're going to encounter or some of the challenges you might face as you set on your journey to start a membership website. So the first thing you need to know before you get started is it's probably going to take longer to pull everything together than you might think. When you're building your membership, so actually doing the tech side, creating the website, or when you're producing your content or anything else that you need to make happen for your membership, chances are it'll end up taking you a little longer than you expect. People tend to be in a rush, or they tend to have that fire in their belly and that urgency to get things done. And I think when you have that, when you're starting a new venture, you maybe become a little over optimistic about the time frame. So just know that it'll probably take you longer than you are estimating. Along the way, you'll have new ideas. You'll scrap elements of your plan. Some things that you assume will be really easy will end up being sticking points. And of course, life will get in the way. As I record this episode, I'm just coming off the back of pretty much a full month of myself and Callie being sick. Now, we didn't plan for that. We didn't anticipate that. Fortunately, because we run a membership, the impact was a lot less on our business than it would be if we were servicing clients and, if we were dependent on training time for money in order to sustain our business. But still, it was disruptive. Now, if that had happened while we were early in the journey, while we were building our membership site, then that would have set us back for weeks. And even at this stage in running our membership, it has set back a few things that we'd had planned for at least a month. These things happen. Life gets in the way. So it's better to give yourself a little breathing room in terms of timescales for your launch plans than to rush and mess things up because you're putting yourself under undue, unnecessary stress. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Stuff will take you a bit longer than you anticipate, especially when it comes to tech, but also content creation. Content creation is one of those things where people massively underestimate how long it's going to take. So keep this in mind before you start on your membership journey. Second thing you need to know is that you will need to compromise. This is especially important to understand when it comes to building your membership site and dealing with the tech side, looking at plugins, looking at hosted platforms, and so on. There may be features or functionality that you want for your membership that are simply not available off the shelf, whether it's with WordPress membership plugins or even hosted platforms like Simplero, Kajabi, Kartra, and so on. We see people wasting months and months and months jumping from platform to platform, plugin to plugin, trying to find the perfect solution that will tick every single box in their list of requirements. And usually the problem is that they have really crazily specific needs, so specific that it's not reasonable to expect an off-the-shelf solution to solve those needs. And yet, they keep literally tearing their membership down and starting from scratch over and over again, trying to do what's not possible because they're unwilling to compromise on the features that they are insistent they must have from day one. This is why we encourage people to embrace simplicity, especially when it comes to the tech side of your membership. You can make things more complex later on when you have the resources to invest in custom development. Same goes for design, same goes for hiring staff and building your team. Things like the production quality for your videos, for your podcasts, and so on. In those early days, compromise is the name of the game, and in no area more so than the tech behind your membership website. If you cannot find a solution that does everything that you need to do, that is a sign for someone who's early in their membership journey. That is definitely a sign that you need to make some compromises because you're probably overcomplicating things to a point where it's going to cause problems further down the road. If you even manage to get started, if you even manage to get out the blocks by getting out of your own way and just compromising on some of the features or whatever that you convinced yourself you cannot launch without. You need to compromise, keep things super simple. And tying into that, the third key thing to know is that you will have tech headaches. It is inevitable. Membership websites involve a lot of moving parts. Now, it's not something where you're going to be battling tech gremlins every single day, but there will be unforeseen issues that pop up from time to time, even when your website is built. Now, obviously, the stage where you're building your website, that's obviously where a lot of your attention is going to be on tech. But on an ongoing basis, there will be things that do pop up. It's just what happens when you run an online business. It'll happen whether you're using a hosted platform like Kajabi or whether you're running a WordPress-based site. Happens to everyone, even to us. Even with all of our experience on the tech side of online memberships, the fact that I've been building websites since 1998, we still have tech headaches come up. The night before we launched Membership Academy, we lost a whole bunch of course videos, about 5 or 6 hours worth of course videos just got corrupted. The files were useless. We had to re-record those videos at the very last minute. We also, at the same time, had to switch our membership plugin because there were issues with compatibility with the email marketing software we were using. These sort of tech headaches happen to everyone. So you need to be prepared for the fact that there will happen. Now, it's very much, if you're not technically inclined, it's very much worth investing in having someone to help you with the tech. Now, I actually did a podcast episode a while back, episode 177, where I talk about different places you can turn to get that ongoing support with your tech. So definitely check that out at themembershipguys.com/177 or look it up in your podcast player if you're looking for someone who can help you with the tech. But whether or not it's a service where you hire on an ongoing basis or you hire a developer, even just using something like wpfixit.com, which is a service where you pay, I think it's $39 on a case-by-case basis, one-time payment, they go in, they fix the bug, job done. It's not an ongoing expense, you're just paying as issues come up. That can save you hours and hours and hours of trying to figure stuff out by yourself. And of course, this is one of the big upsides of being in a community like Membership Academy, where we have tech walkthrough courses and tutorials, plus a dedicated tech talk section inside our community where people like me or other more technically inclined members of the community can help troubleshoot annoying tech headaches. Because you've got to know these will happen. And it's not something that only happens with memberships. It's something that just goes hand in hand with running an online business. There will be little tech headaches come up. So just make sure you're aware that that's something you got to keep in mind and potentially find a solution for before the problems occur. Fourth key thing to understand about memberships is that they are a long-term business model. A short-term mindset won't get you very far when running a membership website. If you're looking for a get-rich-quick shortcut, then you are barking up the wrong tree. Memberships are all about playing the long game, one which is based on recurring revenue that will grow and accumulate steadily over time. Now, that might not be as attractive as the prospect of selling high-ticket items like online courses and the big spikes in revenue that those bring, where once or twice a year, you're getting all of your revenue on one day, and so it looks impressive, and it sounds impressive when you write that blog post or you record that podcast episode talking about your six-figure launch and all that sort of stuff. Memberships and the recurring income that they deliver don't look as impressive on the surface level compared to things like selling courses, but that recurring income gives you a far greater stability and is a much stronger base to build your business on long term. You're getting paid month after month after month after month, and this builds and it accumulates over time. So you need to be in this for the long haul to recognize the long-term nature of it and not get distracted by some of the people who are out there talking about, hey, you should sell courses instead. I sell a course and last month I launched and I made all this money. Actually, you know what? That comes with a feast and famine cycle that memberships help to overcome. You need to make sure you understand the long-term nature of a membership. You need to make sure you're in this for the long haul. If the idea that in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, your day, your week could be spent doing nothing other than talking about your topic, creating content about your topic, answering questions in your community, and so on. If that idea scares you or puts you off rather than exciting you, then maybe a membership isn't for you in the long run. You've got to be in this for the long term, because when your members join your membership, they expect you to be around, to stick around long term, rather than changing your mind and 6 months in going off and chasing the next shiny object because you think that's going to be the silver bullet, the get rich quick shortcut. So need to understand memberships are a long-term gig. You also need to recognize that you need to show up. The majority of online memberships are created by people who are an expert in a specific topic, or they're an authority, an influencer, or a figurehead within a particular market or particular niche. And their business is heavily centered around their personal brand. So they as a person are integral, they are key. People will be attracted to them, drawn into their audience because of you, because of your knowledge, your experience, your expertise. Now, that's not always the case. There are certainly plenty of memberships out there that aren't centered around that authority figure, that figurehead. But if this is describing you, then it is important to know that when people join your membership, they have some degree of expectation that they'll get access to you. Now, unless your marketing is totally wrong, those people won't be expecting to get your personal phone number and to be able to call you 24/7 for a bit of a chin wag. It's not as extreme as that. I think sometimes when people hear, okay, members will expect access to you, they panic at that idea. But they'll certainly be expecting that you'll be present inside your community, inside your forum or Facebook group, that you'll show up. When there's member meetings, that you'll be there. When there's Q&As, that it'll actually be with you, the person who got them to join in the first place. So it's important you actually show up. Now, as I said, not every membership will be one that is centered around that figurehead, access to that expert. But even in those cases, you still need to show up. Showing up also means just delivering on what's promised. Even if that's not you having an actual presence, it's things like creating fresh content, bringing in guest experts, ensuring support tickets are being answered, ensuring that your website hosting, if it goes down, you're actually on the case to get it back up, and so on. Memberships are a two-way street. You need to live up to your end. You need to show up for your members. So that is, I think, our fifth key thing you need to know before you start a membership. Number 6, you need to know that your membership will change. I talked earlier about compromise, especially in those early days, and avoiding the trap of trying to pack every bell and whistle check every box for every possible feature imaginable into your membership, or going over the top with all sorts of crazy ideas and content and all that sort of stuff. And a big part of the reason not to go nuts with that stuff is that chances are 6 to 12 months in, you'll realize you need to make some changes. And the more complex you've made your membership site, the harder it'll be to actually affect that change, to manage it and communicate it. Memberships are always evolving. What you launch with isn't the finished article. Personally, I think that's one of the best things about them. They're living, organic products. You'll be getting constant feedback, both directly from members and also from analyzing data, from looking at the stats on what people are looking at, what they're spending time with. You'll get members telling you what's working, what's missing, what's not quite hitting the mark, what would help them even more, what features they'd like to see. And this feedback will spark new ideas that you might never have thought of otherwise. You'll actually probably find some of the things that you thought were absolutely essential and would be crazy popular with your members. Well, that's usually the stuff that ends up being a bit of a flop. And the things that were a little bit of an afterthought or a last minute addition in terms of content or features, that'll be the stuff that members go nuts for. Again, it's one of the best things about memberships. The fact that they're never finished. They are always evolving. And you need to embrace that evolution. When you realize your membership will change and adapt continuously over time, it then becomes easier to escape the trap of perfectionism. Because this isn't like a piece of software. It's not like a course where there's a lot of pressure to get it right first time, to get it perfect as it can possibly be before you take it to market. When people join your membership, they understand that this is an ongoing thing. They understand that there'll be new things added, that there'll be changes, that there'll be further development. So as I said, that means you don't need to worry about what you're launching with being the absolute definitive, most perfect version of what your membership could ever possibly be, because that picture will change in 6 months. It'll change 6 months later. Your membership's always evolving. It's always going to change. And once you truly embrace that, it makes life so much easier. Next key thing to know before you start a membership is that you will have cancellations and you will have to deal with refund requests. These are obviously, for a membership site owner, the last thing we want, but unfortunately, it's in the name of the game. Cancellations are just part and parcel of the membership model. All good things come to an end, and inevitably, members, however great they are, however much they love you, they will leave your membership eventually. Could be after 2 months, it could be after 2 years, it could be after 2 hours. It'll happen. It's part of the member life cycle, and it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. I wanted to make sure that I covered this here because I definitely see people when they very first start their membership journey and they get those first cancellations coming through, they get so downhearted and depressed thinking that they've missed the mark, that they've done something wrong. But it's just par for the course. People will leave for all sorts of reasons, and often they'll come back too. This again ties into what I was saying earlier about memberships being about the long game. It's not about the short term, it's about the long term. And a great example of that being the case is the fact that you will find that a percentage of people who cancel their membership will find their way back to you. With the Academy, around about 25 to 30% of people who leave ultimately come back to us within 12 months. So cancellations don't have to mean the end. However, early on in your journey, it can really be disheartening to see those cancellation notices come through. Heck, 5 years in to running our membership, we still get a bit bummed out when we see someone has left the Academy, but you can't take it personally or overreact. It's just part of the gig. Same goes for refund requests. They will happen. Regardless of what your refund policy is, whether you are strict on no refunds at all, or whether, like us, you offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, you're going to get people emailing you asking you for a refund. Now, they'll very rarely account for more than a tiny, tiny percentage of members. I can count on one hand how many requests we get per month, and we have thousands of members and hundreds of new ones joining us every month. So I definitely don't want you to panic and worry that you're going to get inundated with people asking for requests constantly. But at the same time, I don't want you to take it as a sign that the sky is falling when you get that first email from someone asking for their money back. It happens. It sucks, but it happens, and it happens to all of us. And the final key thing that I want you to know before you start your membership, before you embark on this journey, is that you will reach a point where you're likely to hit a plateau. Chances are you'll reach a stage in your business where growth seems to slow down. Sign-ups to your membership, email subscribers, website traffic. As you're building momentum through your first couple of years, you're probably going to see a solid rate of month-to-month growth in all of those areas, all those things I just talked about. But often, for membership owners, you will find you hit a point where that rate of growth starts to level out. It starts to even out, and you start to plateau. Now, often, this is because the things that got you there won't necessarily keep you there in terms of your membership success. Some of your tried and tested marketing tactics might be becoming less effective, or they maybe start to have diminishing returns. Trends will change. Audiences will become more jaded to certain marketing strategies. As an example of this, the current trend of closing the doors for your course or your membership or your product and then opening 2 or 3 times a year and having a real high-pressured, real short window in which people can buy from you, that whole trend, you're starting to see more and more rumblings, more and more discontent, more and more of a kickback and a backlash to that strategy. And you see that happen with pretty much all popular marketing strategies. You reach a point where your audience gets sick of seeing the same approach and sick of seeing the same tactics over and over again. They become jaded and those tactics become less effective. So it's really important, if you want to avoid plateauing, that you keep your finger on the pulse of what is going on, both within your audience, within your market, but also within the world of online business. Keep testing and refining. Don't take anything for granted. Don't get lazy or complacent. And in fact, if you're listening to this and you're nodding your head because this is happening to you, then if you're an academy member, if you're a part of Membership Academy, we actually have a growth game plan called the Slump Buster. I love that name. This is actually, it's a game plan that specifically addresses this situation and gives step-by-step instructions and actions to break through that plateau and get your membership business back on track. So if you are a Membership Academy member, check that out in the game plan section, the Slump Buster. That'll help you if you hit a plateau. It's not going to happen to everyone. Some people will hit that plateau earlier than others. Some people might take 5, 6, 7, 8 years before they start to see things even off. But for most people, it is likely to happen. So those are the 8 key things that I want you to know before you start a membership site. Again, just that dose of reality. I'm kind of focusing on the stumbling blocks, the little gotcha things that can derail people or take people by surprise. So hopefully this has equipped you a little bit better to deal with some of these things, and it's helped to align your thinking and prepare you for what could be ahead as you start on your membership journey. First key thing, it's going to take you longer than you might expect to pull everything together. Secondly, you're going to need to make some compromises, particularly with tech, but also in those early days, there's a lot of different aspects of your business where you just need to accept that to begin with, you maybe need to keep things simple, or you're not going to be able to have everything you want, but that's something that can come over time. Third, on the tech side of things, there will be headaches, there'll be bugs, there'll be problems. So prepare for that and consider investing in support for when those things happen. Fourth, you need to know this is a long-term gig. You've got to be in this for the long haul. Fifth, you've got to show up. You've got to deliver. You've got to live up to your side of the bargain, whether that's actually in person with a presence in your community or what have you, or even just behind the scenes, making sure that you're actually living up to the promises you make to your members. Number 6, you've got to embrace that evolution. Your membership will change. Everything doesn't need to be perfect on day one, because actually the feedback you get and the experience and the data and the stats will change your membership over time. So embrace that. Number 6, we all hate them, but you are going to get cancellation and refund requests. They're just part and parcel of being a membership owner. And then finally, just when you think you have it all sussed, there will come a point in your journey as a membership owner where you're going to hit a plateau. So it's important to keep testing, to stay on top of things, not take things for granted, and not to get complacent. Hopefully this episode has been useful for you if you are at the beginning of your membership journey, or even if you're much further in, maybe some of this has been a bit of a reminder, a bit of a refresher, or even just confirmed to you that some of the challenges you're facing aren't actually too uncommon, and hopefully there's been some pointers to help you get things on track. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. That is it from me. I'll be back again next week with another installment of the Membership Guys podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Membership Guys podcast, we invite you to check out membershipacademy.com. The Membership Academy is the essential resource for anyone at any stage of starting, growing, and running a membership website. Whether you're still trying to figure out what your idea is going to be, or whether your website is already up and running and you're just looking for ways to grow it and attract new members, then the Membership Academy can help you to get to the next level. With our extensive course library, monthly training, exclusive member-only discounts, perks, and tools, and a supportive, active community to help you along the way with feedback, encouragement, and advice, the Membership Academy is the perfect place to be for anyone looking to start, manage, and grow a successful membership website. Check it out at membershipacademy.com.